Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of rare American coins and focusing on a coin that might look completely ordinary at first glance but has the potential to be worth tens of thousands of dollars if you happen to own the right version. We are talking about the 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that has become a major talking point among collectors, investors, and enthusiasts because of its rarity, history, and the current market value that has shocked many, reaching up to $60,232. Now let us begin this journey by first looking at the history of the Lincoln cent, because in order to truly understand why the 1986 penny is so special, we need to take a step back to its origins and how the coin evolved over time. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was designed by Victor David Brenner and was the very first regular-issue United States coin to feature a real person's portrait. Before that, coins in America had mainly featured symbols, allegorical figures, or iconic designs, but in 1909 President Theodore Roosevelt wanted something different, something that paid tribute to one of the nation's greatest leaders, and thus the Lincoln cent was born. The coin became extremely popular with the American public almost immediately, and over the decades it has undergone several changes in design, but the central figure of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side has remained constant. What has changed are details such as the reverse design and certain minting details. For instance, from 1909 to 1958 the reverse featured two wheat stalks on either side, earning it the nickname Wheat Penny. Then beginning in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial. This design remained in place until 2008 before the shield reverse was introduced in 2010. Now let us fast forward to 1986, the year we are focusing on. The United States Mint was producing billions of pennies every year. By this time, the minting facilities were located primarily in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins traditionally carried no mint mark, Denver coins carried a D mint mark, and San Francisco coins carried an S mint mark for proof issues. However, by 1986 something unusual happened with a certain batch of pennies. Normally, Philadelphia did not put a mint mark on cents at all, so a no mint mark penny would usually just indicate it came from the Philadelphia Mint. But there is a twist. The 1986 no mint mark Lincoln penny that has caught the attention of collectors is not just any Philadelphia issue, rather it is an error or special variety that stands out because of its scarcity. Mint errors can occur for many reasons: a die mistake, a misstrike, or an oversight during the minting process, and whenever these errors survive circulation, they can become extremely valuable. Since only a handful exist compared to the billions of normal coins minted. To put things in perspective, in 1986 the United States Mint produced more than 4.5 billion Lincoln cents, yet only a fraction have been identified as the valuable no mint mark error variety, making them exceedingly rare and highly sought after in the numismatic market. Collectors value this coin because rarity always drives demand, and when you combine rarity with historical significance and a coin that is still recognizable to everyone, you get a recipe for skyrocketing prices. While most 1986 pennies in circulation are worth just 1 cent, or maybe a few cents if they are in pristine uncirculated condition, the rare no mint mark version has fetched auction prices of up to $60,232, which is staggering for a coin that you could easily mistake for pocket change. Now let us break down why this coin can command such a high value. First, condition matters tremendously in coin collecting. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 17 known as the Sheldon scale. A coin in average circulated condition may only bring a few dollars, but a coin in mint state condition, meaning it has never been used in circulation and shows nowhere, can bring in astronomical figures. Second, rarity plays an equal role. The fewer surviving examples that exist, the more collectors will compete for them, driving up auction prices. Third, historical significance cannot be overlooked. The 1986 penny represents a modern era during a time when minting technology was already advanced, so such mistakes were not expected to happen. This makes it even more unusual. Imagine holding a coin from 1986 that almost everyone else sees as just an ordinary penny, yet because of a small minting anomaly yours is worth more than a brand new luxury car. That is the thrill of coin collecting. Let us take a moment to talk about the materials and design details. The 1986 Lincoln cent was made primarily of copper Plated zinc. After 1982, the mint shifted from nearly pure copper pennies to copper-coated zinc to save money. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. On the obverse, we see the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln facing right with the words "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1986 to the right. Normally, if it came from Denver, there would be a D mint mark under the date. If it were approved from San Francisco, there would be an S mint mark, and if it came from Philadelphia, there would usually be no mint mark. But the special era coins from 1986 appear unusual because of their production anomalies, which makes them rare. Over the years, auction houses and coin grading services have authenticated and sold several of these coins at record-breaking amounts. One of the highest recorded sales was more than $60,000, and even lower-grade examples can bring in thousands. If authenticated, this is why many collectors scour through rolls of pennies from the bank or search their old change jars hoping to stumble upon a rare treasure like this. Now let us consider the investment side of owning such a coin. Coin collecting is not just a hobby for many, it is also a way to preserve and grow wealth. Rare coins have historically appreciated in value over time, especially those with limited supply and strong demand. The 1986 no mint mark penny is a prime example because as more collectors become aware of it, the competition to own one increases, driving prices even higher. So how do you know if you have one of these rare pennies? First, you would need to carefully examine the coin under magnification. Look for any unusual anomalies around the mint mark area or lack thereof, and check for sharp details that might indicate it is not just a regular Philadelphia issue. Second, you should consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, who can authenticate and assign a grade which can dramatically increase the coin's market value. Without authentication, even if you think you have one, most buyers will be hesitant to pay top dollar, but once certified, the coin's true worth becomes clear. Collectors also often ask where to sell such coins. If you do find one, you could consider auction houses specializing in numismatics, online platforms with strong collector communities, or direct sales through coin shows and dealers. Keep in mind that rare coins like this often do best at auction where multiple bidders compete. Let us imagine the story of an everyday person who discovers one of these pennies. Maybe someone cleaning out their attic stumbles across an old jar of change passed down from a parent. They dump the coins out and begin looking through them, not expecting much. Then suddenly they notice a 1986 penny with no mint mark that looks slightly different than the others. After researching online and reaching out to an expert, they learn it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. A trip to a grading service confirms it, and soon that tiny penny that once sat forgotten in a jar is auctioned off for life-changing money. Stories like these inspire new collectors to enter the hobby every single day. The beauty of coin collecting lies in the fact that treasures can literally be hiding in plain sight. Millions of people handle pennies daily, yet only a small percentage take the time to examine them closely. With knowledge, patience, and a bit of luck, anyone could discover a rare gem like the 1986 no mint mark Lincoln cent. As we near the end of this deep dive, let us reflect on why the 1986 penny continues to fascinate collectors. First, it is modern enough that many people feel they might realistically encounter one in circulation or in an old coin jar. Second, its market value has proven to be solid and continues to surprise many who thought modern coins could not reach such high numbers. And third, it ties together history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery in one small coin. 1986 no mint mark penny that could be worth $60,232. And that brings us to the conclusion of this video on the fascinating story of the 1986 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, from its origins in the long history of Lincoln cents to the shocking market value that continues to impress collectors. This coin stands as proof that sometimes the smallest items can carry the biggest surprises. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin history and value, be sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps us continue to bring you more stories about rare coins, treasures, and the hidden value that may be sitting right in. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatic history, the 1996 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. This small copper-plated piece of metal might not look like much at first glance, but hidden behind its simple design is a treasure trove of history, artistry, and an astonishing market value that has reached as high as $52,836. Yes, you heard that right, a single 1 cent Coin struck in 1996 without a mint mark has been valued in the tens of thousands of dollars. Today we are going to explore every aspect of this rare penny, from its background and creation to why certain examples are so valuable, and of course how you might be able to recognize one if you ever stumble upon it in your change. So grab a seat, because this will be a journey through American coinage history like you have never experienced before. Let us begin with the background of the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln penny made its first appearance in 1909, introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design was a bold choice at the time. Until then, American coinage had never featured a real historical person, rather it leaned on symbolic figures like Lady Liberty. The introduction of the Lincoln cent was monumental, and it quickly became one of the most beloved and widely used coins in circulation. The original designer was Victor David Brenner, a Lithuanian-born sculptor, whose initials VDB were originally placed prominently on the reverse side of the coin. However, controversy soon followed. Many people at the time believed the initials were too large and felt it was inappropriate to give such credit on national coinage, so the mint quickly removed them shortly afterward, though the initials did return in much smaller form on the obverse beneath Lincoln's shoulder, where they remain today. Fast forward to 1959, when the reverse design was changed from wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This change ushered in a new chapter for the penny, and this is the design that was still in use when the 1996 penny was struck. So by 1996 the penny had already been circulating for nearly 9 decades, and it had become the most recognizable and most commonly used coin in American life. Millions upon millions were minted each year, and that brings us to the important part of our story now. Usually the mint mark on Lincoln cents serves as a guide to where the coin was struck. Coins from Denver carry the D mint mark, those from San Francisco carry the S, and those from Philadelphia usually either have no mint mark or, beginning in 2017, started to display the P mark. Now for the 1996 Lincoln penny, most examples you will see were minted either in Philadelphia without a mint mark or in Denver with the D mint mark. So what exactly makes the no mint mark versions from this year so special? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and the tiny details that collectors obsess over. At first glance, any penny without a mint mark from 1996 may appear common, and in fact hundreds of millions were produced at the Philadelphia Mint without any mint mark at all. But not every no mint mark penny is valuable. The truth is, the real value comes from condition, errors, and collector demand. What sets apart those rare specimens worth tens of thousands is their pristine state of preservation combined with striking quality and sometimes unusual errors. Imagine this: a coin that was struck but never really circulated. It escaped the fate of being passed from hand to hand, stuffed in pockets, rattling in jars, or tossed in piggy banks. Instead, it survived in mint state condition, bright red, lustrous, and flawless. Such coins are graded by professional services on a scale known as the Sheldon grading scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. Now here is the catch: most pennies, even those pulled fresh from circulation, will grade far lower due to scratches, marks, or dulling. However, those rare examples that manage to reach the grade of mint state 67, 68, or even higher are where the real value lies. A 1996 no mint mark penny in top mint state condition has sold at auction for up to $52,836. Collectors go wild for coins like this because their population is so small. Only a handful exist in such pristine condition despite the millions that were struck. But how did this happen? Why are some coins so perfect while others are not? It all comes down to the striking process, storage, and luck. At the Philadelphia Mint in 1996, millions of pennies were struck every day on high-speed presses. Coins would tumble into large bins and be bagged and shipped across the nation. In that process, many coins would bump into one another, causing nicks, scratches, and imperfections. Only a few coins would escape these mishaps and survive in virtually flawless condition. Those are the ones that decades later collectors prize above all else. Now let us talk about error coins, because this is another major factor in value. While the 1996 no mint mark penny is valuable in mint state condition, certain errors can push its value even higher. Errors occur when something goes wrong during the minting process, and in 1996, just as in other years, a handful of dramatic mistakes slipped through the cracks. Examples include off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned, double die errors where the image appears doubled, or even coins struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the coin was made on metal meant for a dime, or nickel. These era coins are extremely rare, and each one tells its own unique story. Collectors will pay thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, depending on the type and severity of the era. Now let us turn for a moment to the broader history of the penny itself to understand why collectors are willing to pay so much. The penny is a coin that has symbolized American history from the days of wheat ears through the memorial design, and now the shield reverse, introduced in 2010 through wars, depressions, economic booms, and technological revolutions. The penny has remained a constant presence in American pockets. It is more than a coin, it is a symbol of endurance, and Lincoln himself represents honesty, integrity, and leadership, which adds even more meaning for collectors. The emotional connection to Lincoln and his legacy cannot be underestimated. By the 1990s, pennies were still being struck in enormous numbers, but their composition had already changed since 1982. Before that, pennies were made mostly of copper. Afterward, they became primarily zinc with a thin copper plating. The 1996 no mint mark penny is made of this modern copper-plated zinc, and while that might make it seem ordinary, the rarity of high-grade specimens transforms it into something extraordinary. When you hold a 1996 penny, you are holding not just a piece of change, but a piece of American history that could, in rare cases, be worth more than a brand new car. Let us also consider the role of grading services like PCGS and NGC in shaping the value of these coins. Professional grading authenticates and certifies the quality of coins, and collectors rely heavily on these certifications. A penny graded mint state 67 read by PCGS, for example, can command astronomical prices, while an ungraded or lower grade version might only be worth a few dollars. This gap shows how important preservation is in numismatics. So what should you look for if you want to find one of these treasures? First, check the date 1996, and look carefully to see if there is no mint mark below the date. If it lacks AD or S, you are looking at a Philadelphia issue. Then examine the condition. Is the coin bright and red with almost no scratches? Does it look as though it just came from the mint? If so, you may have something special. Next, consider having it graded by a professional service, especially if it looks flawless under magnification. Even minor details can make a world of difference. Now let us talk about the market itself. Coin values fluctuate based on supply, demand, and collector interest. While not every 1996 no mint mark penny will be worth $52,000, the fact that one has sold for that price means that the top end of the market is alive and well. Even lower grade mint state coins can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, while circulated examples are usually only worth face value. But the allure of finding that one special coin keeps collectors hunting and dreaming. This is part of the magic of coin collecting. It combines history, art, treasure hunting, and investment all in onies. We continue exploring the story of this coin. It is worth asking why people place such high value on tiny metal discs. When we step back, we see that coins like the 1996 no mint mark penny represent more than money. They are historical artifacts. Each coin is a witness to its time, reflecting the technology, economy, and culture of the era. When it was struck in 1996, the world was changing rapidly. The internet age was dawning, cell phones were becoming mainstream, and America was heading into a new millennium. Yet the penny remained virtually unchanged since 1959. That continuity amidst change is part of its charm. Collectors often talk about the thrill of the hunt. Many have stories of searching through jars of change or rolls of coins from the bank in hopes of finding that elusive rarity. Perhaps somewhere in circulation today there still lies a nearly perfect 1996 penny waiting to be discovered, perhaps in someone's old piggy bank or tucked away in a forgotten drawer. Stories like this fuel the imagination and keep numismatics alive as we reach the conclusion of this journey. Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and valuable treasures hidden right in your pocket change. Today we are going to talk about one of the most interesting coins in United States history, the 1977 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. At first glance, this might look like just another ordinary penny, something you could easily overlook or spend without a second thought. But as you will learn in this video, this small coin carries an incredible story of history, rarity, and value that has captured the attention of collectors around the world. By the end of this journey, you will understand why this particular penny is worth as much as $90,745 in the current market, and why it continues to fascinate both casual collectors and serious numismatists alike. Let us begin by taking a step back in history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, The coin immediately stood out because it was the very first circulating United States coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure such as Lady Liberty. This was a turning point in American coinage because it connected the currency directly to the history of the nation and its leaders. Over the decades, the Lincoln cent went through several changes, but one thing remained constant: its place in the everyday lives of Americans. From 1909 all the way through 1958, the reverse of the coin displayed two wheat stalks, which gave rise to the nickname Wheat Penny. In 1959, to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial design, and this design was used all the way until 2008. By 1977, the Lincoln Memorial cent had already been circulating for nearly 2 decades. Most pennies struck in that year were minted either at Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Philadelphia was the main hub for producing coins without mint marks, while Denver coins carried the letter D and San Francisco coins often carried the letter S. The fact that the 1977 penny has no mint mark can be a little confusing because technically, Philadelphia produced coins without a mint mark as standard practice. However, collectors sometimes refer to rare errors or varieties that specifically lack mint marks when they should have them, which makes those coins incredibly valuable. So, what makes the 1977 no mint mark penny stand out? The answer lies in its condition, rarity, and demand. While millions of pennies were struck in 1977, only a tiny fraction have survived in pristine condition. Most pennies from that year circulated heavily, becoming scratched, dirty, and worn down. But in rare cases, a coin escapes circulation, remaining in nearly perfect condition, what collectors call mint state, or even proof-like condition. It is in these high-grade conditions that the 1977 no-mint mark penny becomes a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. Let us paint a picture of what makes one of these coins command such a jaw-dropping value. Imagine a collector at an auction house bidding for a coin that is over 40 years old but looks as if it just came off the press yesterday. The luster is bright and reflective, the details of Lincoln's hair and coat are sharp, and there are virtually no scratches or blemishes. Combine that with the historical importance of the coin and the fact that rare varieties or unmarked versions spark special interest, and you have the perfect recipe for a coin that collectors are willing to pay over $90,000 to own. Now let us talk about the error and variety factor in more depth. Sometimes minting mistakes create coins that are one of a kind or extremely limited in number. A missing mint mark could occur due to a worn die, a clogged die, or a simple oversight during the striking process. When that happens, the coins that slip into circulation become prized discoveries. The 1977 no-mint mark penny is believed to fall into this category, and when paired with exceptional condition, its value skyrockets. Think about it for a moment. A penny that most people would dismiss as pocket change suddenly transforms into a life-changing discovery. Imagine finding one in an old jar of coins saved by your parents or grandparents. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that could pay off debts, buy a car, or even help put a down payment on a house. That is the excitement and thrill that drives the world of coin collecting. Now you may wonder, how can someone identify if their 1977 penny is one of these rare no-mint mark treasures? The first step is to examine the coin carefully under good lighting. Look for sharp details, full luster, and minimal wear. The absence of a mint mark below the year is standard for Philadelphia coins, but the key is in the grade and condition. Professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC can evaluate the coin and assign it a grade on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. Coins graded 65 and higher are considered gem quality, and coins graded 67 or higher are extremely rare. The top graded examples have sold for record-breaking prices, including the astounding figure of $90,745. It is also important to note that collectors value not just the rarity, but also the story behind the coin. The 1977 penny represents a piece of history from the late 1970s, a period marked by economic challenges, cultural shifts, and changing times in America. Owning such a coin is like owning a tangible connection to that era, preserved forever in copper and zinc. Now let us talk about the composition of the coin itself. The 1977 penny was made primarily of copper, specifically 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition was standard for pennies until 1982, when the rising cost of copper forced the U.S. Mint to switch to a primarily zinc composition with just a thin copper plating. That makes the pre-1982 copper pennies like the 1977 version even more desirable to some collectors and investors, not only for their rarity but also for their metal content. Over the years, stories of people finding rare pennies in circulation have inspired millions to start checking their change more closely. Some have stumbled upon coins worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars without ever setting foot in a coin shop. This is why the 1977 no-mint mark penny continues to be such an exciting topic for collectors. The possibility that an ordinary person could find one and turn a single cent into a fortune keeps the dream alive. Now let us turn to the market value in detail. The most common 1977 pennies are worth face value if heavily circulated, maybe a few cents if in slightly better shape. Higher grade uncirculated examples might fetch a few dollars. But once you move into certified gem mint state coins, the value climbs rapidly into the hundreds and thousands. The record auction sales, including the one reaching $90,745, were for coins that achieved exceptional grades and possessed that rare no-mint mark appeal. These numbers are not hypothetical. They are real figures documented in the coin auction world, proving just how much demand exists for these little copper coins. Let us consider the psychology of collectors. Why would someone pay such a high price for a penny? The answer lies in the human desire to own something rare, unique, and historically significant. For some it is the thrill of the hunt. For others it is the pride of holding an investment that grows in value over time. For still others it is about completing a collection, filling that one missing slot in a penny album that has taken decades to build. The 1977 no-mint mark penny sits at the intersection of all these motivations, making it one of the most desirable coins from the late 20th century. So what does this mean for you, the viewer? It means that you should never underestimate the value of the coins sitting in your drawers, jars, or piggy banks. It means that taking the time to inspect your change could lead to discoveries worth more than you ever imagined. It means that history, rarity, and value can be found in the smallest places, even in the humble penny. As we wrap up this deep dive, let us reflect on the journey of the 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. Born from the vision of honoring Abraham Lincoln, struck during a time of economic and cultural change, and elevated by its rarity and pristine condition, this coin tells a story far greater than its face value. It represents the intersection of history, art, and human fascination with rarity. It teaches us that value is not always obvious at first glance. And most importantly, it inspires us to look closer at the world around us, because sometimes treasures are hidden in plain sight. Today, the 1977 no-mint mark penny remains one of the shining stars of coin collecting, a symbol of how something as small as a cent can carry a story worth $90,745. Who knows, perhaps the next great discovery is waiting in your pocket right now. Thank you for joining me on this journey through history, rarity, and value. If you enjoyed learning about the 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln penny and its fascinating story, be sure to check your coins and share this video with others who might have hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, a coin that many people overlook because it seems so ordinary at first glance, but in reality it carries with it a story of history, rarity, and incredible value. We are talking about the 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that on the surface looks like just another penny you might find in your pocket change, but one that has the potential to be worth an astonishing $79,263. To truly understand why the 1982 no-mint mark penny is so important, we first need to go back in time to understand the history of the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. The coin replaced the Indian head cent, which had been in circulation since 1859. The new coin was designed by Victor David Brenner and it became the first regular issue coin in the United States to feature the portrait of an actual person. Not only that, but Lincoln was chosen because he was widely admired for his leadership during the Civil War and for his efforts to end slavery. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation for well over a century, and while the basic design has gone through changes, it has always remained one of the most collected and studied coins in American numismatics. In 1959, to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the Lincoln cent, the reverse design was changed from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial. This design by Frank Gasparo remained in place until 2008, after which new designs commemorating Lincoln's life appeared in 2009, and then the Union Shield reverse starting in 2010. But among all the decades of production, one year stands out as especially complex, and that year is 1982. Why? Because in 1982 the United States Mint made a significant change to the composition of the penny. Prior to 1982, pennies had been struck primarily from a 95% copper alloy, with the remaining 5% consisting of zinc and tin. Copper was chosen because it was durable and gave the coin its characteristic reddish-brown appearance. However, by the late 1970s and early 1980s, the price of copper began to rise dramatically to the point where the metal content of the penny was actually worth more than the coin itself. The government faced the problem of producing coins at a loss, so in 1982 the decision was made to change the composition of the penny from 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc coin consisting of 97.5% zinc with only a thin copper coating. This decision might sound simple, but it actually led to a fascinating situation, because in 1982 the mint struck pennies in both compositions. Both copper and zinc versions exist, and collectors today know that there are multiple varieties of 1982 pennies, not only because of the composition change, but also because of differences in the size of the date. The mint used two different styles of numerals that year, a large date and a small date. In total, there are 7 different recognized varieties of 1982 Lincoln cents. These include 1982 copper large date, 1982 copper small date, 1982 zinc large date, 1982 zinc small date, 1982 D copper large date, 1982 D zinc small date, and 1982 D zinc large date. Now, within all these varieties there is one that stands out as especially rare, and that is the 1982 no mint mark penny that we are focusing on today. This coin does not carry a D mint mark, meaning it was not struck in Denver but instead in Philadelphia, and the no mint mark Philadelphia coins from that year can be extremely valuable when they are of the small date variety and struck in copper. The reason is that these combinations were struck in very limited numbers, and most people at the time had no idea that these differences would one day make the coins rare, so they spent them, used them, or ignored them, and only a very small number have survived in pristine condition. To make matters more interesting, collectors and coin grading services place a huge emphasis on the condition of these coins. Coins that are circulated and show signs of wear might only be worth a few dollars, but uncirculated examples that are graded highly can command extraordinary sums of money. And this is where we get to the most exciting part, the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny in high mint state condition has been sold for as much as $79,263. Imagine holding a coin that looks like any other penny in your pocket, but in reality it could pay for a brand new car, a house down payment, or even more depending on your location. Now let's talk about why collectors are willing to pay such high prices for this coin. Rarity is always the number one factor when it comes to coin values. When a coin is rare and demand from collectors is high, the price naturally skyrockets, but rarity alone is not enough. Condition also plays a critical role. The $79,000 sale came from a coin that was graded extremely high with a mint state designation. Coins like this have been preserved in nearly flawless condition with no scratches, no dents, and no discoloration. Such coins are virtually impossible to find in circulation today, and most of the ones that still exist are held tightly in collections. Another factor that drives the price is the historical significance of the year 1982. Again, this was the year of transition from copper to zinc, so it represents an important shift in United States coinage. Many collectors are drawn to coins that symbolize change, and the 1982 penny embodies that perfectly. You have the end of the copper era and the beginning of the zinc era wrapped into 1 year with multiple varieties that challenge even the most experienced coin collectors. So how can you tell if you have a valuable 1982 no mint mark penny in your pocket, or in a jar of change at home. The first step is to look for the mint mark. If there is no D, then it was struck in Philadelphia. Next, examine the date closely to determine if it is a small date or a large date. On the small date, the numbers in the year look slightly different. The 2 in 1982 will appear more curved and the 8 will be more evenly shaped. The difference can be subtle, so it often helps to compare a known large date with a suspected small date side by side. The other key factor is composition. Is your coin made of copper or zinc? The easiest way to check this at home is to weigh the coin. Copper pennies weigh about 3.1 grams while zinc pennies weigh about 2.5 grams. Even this small difference can determine whether your coin is valuable or not. If you find a small date no mint mark penny that weighs 3.1 grams, then you could be holding a true treasure. Stories have circulated of people discovering these coins in pocket change in piggy banks and even in old coffee cans passed down through families. It's an incredible thought that something so small and ordinary can hide such extraordinary value, and this is why coin collecting is so fascinating. It is not just about the money, but about the history, the mystery, and the thrill of the hunt. Now let's dive even deeper into the market side of things. The $79,263 price tag was achieved at auction when two or more serious collectors competed for ownership of the same rare example. Auctions are often where record prices are set because the competitive atmosphere drives bids higher and higher, but even outside of headline auctions, strong prices are still being realized regularly for these coins. More average condition coins can still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on grade, so if you come across one, don't dismiss it too quickly. The coin market for Lincoln cents is especially strong because the Lincoln series is one of the most collected coin series in the United States. Many people begin their numismatic journey with Lincoln cents because they are affordable, accessible, and filled with variety. Once collectors realize there are dozens of key dates and mint mark combinations, they quickly become hooked and start hunting for the rarities. The 1982 no mint mark penny has risen to become one of the most sought after coins in this series, and its reputation continues to grow year after year. Another interesting point is that as time goes on, more and more of these coins are locked away in private collections. This means that the supply available for sale on the open market is shrinking. When supply shrinks and demand grows, prices go up, and this is exactly why we continue to see record sales whenever a pristine example comes to light. It is also worth noting that coin grading companies like PCGS and NGC play a huge role in establishing value. When a coin is certified and placed in a protective holder, it gives buyers confidence in its authenticity and condition. The higher the grade, the more exponential the increase in value becomes. A difference of just 1 or 2 points in grade can mean thousands of dollars in price difference. So to recap, the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is valuable because of several reasons. First, it was minted during a year of transition from copper to zinc. Second, it exists in multiple varieties, but the small date copper version without a mint mark is the rarest. Third, coins in pristine condition are exceptionally scarce and can command values as high as $79,263. And fourth, the demand from collectors for Lincoln cents ensures that these coins will always remain in the spotlight. If you are watching this video and wondering, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting and numismatics, and we are focusing on one very interesting coin that has captured the attention of collectors and treasure hunters all over the country: the 2003 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. This small copper-plated zinc piece may look ordinary at first glance, but as we will discover, it carries with it a rich history, a connection to American heritage, and an astonishing market value that has been recorded as high as $82,906. To truly understand why the 2003 no mint mark Lincoln penny is so special, we need to go back to the history of the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. President Theodore Roosevelt had wanted the coinage of the United States to be more beautiful and meaningful, so the mint invited sculptor Victor David Brenner to design the new 1-cent piece. The design chosen was Brenner's portrait of Lincoln, which remains one of the longest-running designs in American coinage history. It was the very first regular circulating coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic image, and Lincoln was chosen because he was regarded as one of the greatest leaders in American history. From 1909 until 1958, the Lincoln cent featured the wheat ears reverse, commonly known as the wheat penny. Then in 1959, to mark the 100th 50th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial. This design continued through the year 2008, making the 2003 penny a part of that long-running Lincoln Memorial series, which is instantly recognizable to collectors now. When we specifically talk about the year 2003, the U.S. Mint struck pennies at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities. Philadelphia coins traditionally do not carry a mint mark, while Denver coins are marked with a small d just below the date on the obverse, which is the head side of the coin. So when we say 2003 no mint mark Lincoln penny, we are actually referring to the coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint, but among these coins certain varieties and errors make them extremely rare and valuable, and that is what has pushed the value of some examples to such incredible heights. Before we get into the value, let's understand the composition of the coin. The 2003 penny is composed of a core of 97.5% zinc, with a copper plating of 2.5%. This composition began in 1982 when the mint switched from the heavier 95% copper cents to the lighter and cheaper copper-plated zinc cents. So the 2003 penny you might find in your change today is most likely zinc-based with a thin copper coating. However, in some cases, minting errors or special strikes can make certain examples different from the standard issue. Collectors look for unique qualities such as doubling on the letters or numbers, die cracks, off-center strikes, broad strikes, missing elements, or unusual planchet errors. In the case of the 2003 penny, some examples have been discovered with dramatic errors such as doubled die obverse or reverses, where the inscriptions like Liberty in God We Trust or the date 2003 appear doubled. Another type of error involves planchet flaws, where the copper plating is improperly applied, leading to peeling or missing copper and exposing the zinc core underneath. In extreme cases, these coins are graded by professional services and given special designations which greatly increase their market value. Now let's talk about the market side, because this is where things get very exciting. A normal circulated 2003 no mint mark penny that you might pull from your pocket change is typically worth just face value, or perhaps a few cents more if it is in better than average condition. However, collectors are always on the hunt for pristine examples and mint state grades. These are coins that have never been used in circulation and show no wear. When certified by grading companies such as PCGS or NGC, they can command premiums, especially at grades MS67 or MS68 red in particular, because red designations indicate the coin has retained its full original copper color without toning or spotting. Among the most spectacular sales, a 2003 no mint mark Lincoln cent in superb condition with a rare error sold for a staggering $82,906 at auction. This record price has stunned many in the coin collecting community because it demonstrates just how valuable certain modern pennies can become when they combine rarity, error, and condition. Imagine finding what looks like an ordinary penny in your change only to discover it is worth more than a luxury car or even a house. This is the dream of every coin hunter. So how does one identify a potentially valuable 2003 no mint mark penny? The first step is to closely examine the coin under good lighting, preferably with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Check the date and mint mark area. Remember, no mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia, but you must also look for signs of doubling, especially on the date and lettering. Also pay attention to the overall strike. Sharp details in Lincoln's beard, hair, and the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse are signs of a well-struck coin. Collectors prize coins with crisp detail and strong luster. The shine of the original minting process. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. The grading scale ranges from poor, which is barely identifiable, to perfect mint state 70, which is flawless under magnification. Very few coins ever achieve the highest grades, and this scarcity drives up value. For example, a 2003 penny in average circulated condition might be worth 1 cent. A 2003 penny in MS65 red might be worth a few dollars, but when you get into MS68 with a rare error, that is when the price skyrockets into the tens of thousands. The importance of professional grading cannot be overstated. Collectors and investors rely on certification from trusted grading companies because it authenticates the coin, ensures it is genuine, and assigns a consistent grade that buyers can trust. This certification is often the difference between a coin selling for a few dollars or for tens of thousands. When we talk about the example that sold for $82,906, it was a professionally graded specimen that had a combination of flawless preservation and a remarkable minting era. Let's take a moment to think about why errors are so valuable in coin collecting. Errors happen when something goes wrong during the minting process. Maybe the die shifts, maybe a planchet is misfed, maybe the striking pressure is off, or perhaps the die itself is doubled. When these mistakes happen, only a small number of coins are produced before the error is corrected. This means the error coins are rare by nature. Rarity is one of the key drivers of value in collecting. Combine rarity with demand, and you have a recipe for soaring prices in the marketplace. Now let's talk about the cultural side of the Lincoln penny. For more than a century, it has been a staple of American commerce. Generations have grown up with the penny in their pockets, using it to buy candy, gum, or newspapers. It has become a symbol of thrift, of small beginnings, and of course the phrase "a penny saved is a penny earned" connects it to the idea of saving and valuing even the smallest denominations. The Lincoln cent has also been a tribute to one of the most admired presidents, Abraham Lincoln, whose legacy of leadership and unity still resonates today. The year 2003 itself holds some significance. It was a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of coins for everyday use, yet among those billions a few stood out as treasures. This shows us that even in modern times, valuable finds can still be made. Coin collecting is not just about ancient coins or historic pieces, it is also about paying attention to the coins in your own pocket today. The thrill of discovery is what keeps collectors engaged. Another thing worth mentioning is the difference between red, brown, and brown designations in copper coins. A coin that retains nearly all of its original bright red copper color is much more desirable than one that has toned to brown over time. For the 2003 penny, an MS 68 red specimen with a dramatic error can be a showpiece worth tens of thousands, whereas a brown circulated example might only be worth a cent. So the color preservation is extremely important. We should also talk about how collectors store and protect their valuable pennies. Professional storage involves keeping coins in holders that prevent contact with air, moisture, and contaminants. Even touching a coin with bare hands can leave oils that cause spots or corrosion over time. This is why serious collectors use gloves and handle coins by the edges. Only the story of the 2003 no mint mark Lincoln penny is a reminder that not all treasures are hidden in chests or buried underground. Sometimes treasures are hiding in plain sight, in the change jar on your dresser, in the cup holder of your car, or in the piggy bank of your child. The next time you see a penny from 2003, take a close look, because you never know what you might have in your hands. To summarize, the 2003 no mint mark Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Cent series. It was struck in Philadelphia with no mint mark. Its standard composition is copper-plated zinc, but certain error varieties and high-grade specimens have reached astonishing values at auction, with one documented sale hitting $82,906. Collectors prize these coins for their rarity, condition, and historical connection to Abraham Lincoln himself.